All right, Ellis Cinema back. Another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, gray and a yan puke. As you see on your screen, your dial, however you are choosing to join me today, I appreciate you. Well, maybe. I don't know. I can't decide. But I know that the filmmakers involved in this one do. That's for sure. So, as you see on your screen, your dial, Sakra. Sakra, starring Donnie Yen. Based on the classic wuxia novel Demi-Gods and Semi-Devils by Louis Cha, known worldwide by his pen name, Jin Yong, Sakra stars Donnie Yen as Qiao Feng, the respected leader of a roving band of martial artists. After he is wrongfully accused of murder and subsequently exiled, Qiao Feng goes on the run in search of answers about his own mysterious origin story and the unknown enemies working to destroy him from the shadows. The physical disc is now available. You can get this now. In fact, I apologize. I'm doing this probably a year late, but have you ever heard of life and a real job that gives you dental? This one does not. So I apologize for taking so long to get this one out here. But the physical disc is available now, and should you not want to spend money based on my recommendation, it's also streaming for free. Streaming for free on Tubi. I tell you what, Tubi has a shit ton of awesome martial arts films on there right now. I don't know how they got the rights to all the, even like the B-level ones. You know how there's B-level horror films? Well, there's a shit ton of B-level kung fu movies as well. So make sure you head on over to Tubi to check that out. So, Sakra is starring Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is Qiao Feng. We got Wu Yu, who plays Marang Fu. We got Chen Yuqi, who plays Azu. Xia Liu, who plays Azi. Aju and Azi. Those are two different character names. And we'll get into the kind of the convolutedness towards the end. But I don't even know if it's convoluted or if I'm just stupid. And I am so geared to just assuming that I'm to blame for kind of not understand. Well, we'll get there. We got Ying Hung, who plays Ran Jingyu. Jingyu. God damn. We got Cheng Siu Fai, who plays Duan Jingjun. Wang Kwan Hing, who plays Mrs. Ma. We got Du Yuming, who plays Bai Jijing. We got Lu Liang Wai, who plays Marang Bo. Tsui Ming, who plays Kumachi. Zhu Jiandong, who plays Junanan. You guys are loving this. Yuan Jingren, who plays Zhu Mua. Yeah, that's great. This is so great. I always, just so you guys know, I always make it a point to do this for the first time. So you guys, I know that this is going to sound like an excuse, but I promise you, it is more so some of you younger cats that listen to this, it's okay to fail, okay? It's all right to fail. And I don't mind failing in front of an audience. That's quite all right with me. Anyway, Huan Jingrin, who plays Zhu Muhua. Li Zhanghua, who plays Elder Song. Liang Gurong, who plays Elder Wu. Cheng, who plays Elder Qi. Cheng Tihuai, who plays Elder Chen, and Guo Jinlong, Jiu Long, who plays Elder Zhu. I'm sure I missed just so many people that were in it, but like after a certain point, I'm like, all right, like. Especially since, I don't know if you guys ever go on IMDb to check out the cast and crew list for some of the films that I review, specifically the foreign films or smaller films. This one's not small at all, but a lot of times with the Chinese, Japanese films, I get a little concerned by the amount of information that's on there. I mean, like the one that I did previously, what was it? 1% Warrior, which is also called 1%er. You can find both names on there, and it's almost like there was a crew of none. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, the crew for Sakra, we got art direction by Liu Shi Yun, edited by Ka-Wai, cinematography, which was off the charts here, cinematography by Ying. We had action direction from Kenji Tanigaki and Donnie Yen, action choreographer Yan Hua and Chao. And this is based on, like I said, the wuxia novel Demi-Gods and Semi-Devils, written by Jin Yong. The screenplay appears to be done by a host of people. We got He Ben, Chen Li, Sheng Linzi, Li Jing Chen, Zhu Yifan, Wai Zhu, and also credited as Louis Cha, but that, if you read IMDb, Louis Cha is Jin Yong. Jin Yong is Louis Cha, so the guy who wrote the novel. Anyway, directed by Donnie Yen, and then there's also in the credits co-directed by Ka-Wai. Really kind of getting confused as to how I'm supposed to pronounce these names, if it goes last name first, first name last, because I'm pretty sure there's a respect that goes behind saying the name right. And I just want to tell you, anybody involved in the film out there listening, I'm a dope. But I promise you, I love this film, and I mean no disrespect by me being an idiot. So, in the early Northern Song dynasty, the country was often invaded by the Khitan-led Liu dynasty. The former Yan kingdom's old forces were secretly planning to restore their power. Territorial disputes triggered wars. Kindness and enmity were everywhere. Love and hatred were all ignited by greed and jealousy. No one was an exception. Those who had feelings were all caught in them. So the movie starts as an origin story. We meet baby Qiao Feng. And as a baby, Khitan-born Qiao Feng loses his parents and is sent to be raised by a couple from the Song Empire, which is at war with the Khitan-led Liu Empire. Qiao Feng grows up and becomes a powerful chief of the Beggars gang. Yes, that's right, the Beggars gang. Man, some of the subtitles in this, I as a side gig, as long as I'm getting paid for it, I want to start doing subtitles that don't come off lazy and or confusing in some of these movies, because in this one, there's just stuff like, and we'll get there briefly, I'm going to touch on it, but there's just times where I'm like, well, that is said in the most elementary way possible. And I get it. Americans are stupid, and the Chinese are, they're taking college courses when they're in fucking 5th grade, but holy moly, I think we can step up. And for you guys that listen to the show, this isn't my first beef with subtitles. I don't know if the people doing the subtitles just think that we aren't paying attention, or if they just assume that we're watching this as a second screen, meaning that the phone is our first screen and the movie is our second screen. I don't know what the issue is, but sometimes it just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh, where I'm just like, boy, we didn't even try there. Anyway, Qiao Feng grows up to become a powerful chief of the Beggars gang, utilizing martial arts in battles. However, he is framed for the murder of Deputy Chief Ma Daihuan by his wife Lady Ma, and he is kicked out of the gang after they discover his origin as a part of the Khitan people. He is also slandered and accused of the murder of his adopted. Get this. Qiao Feng is having quite possibly the worst day of his life. He is accused of murder not once, not twice, 3 times. In this movie, 3 times he is accused of murder. Talk about fuck this. But now, I ask you this: if you're accused 3 times of murder, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm just kidding. He didn't murder anyone. Oh, spoiler alert. Anyway, he is also slandered and accused of murder of his adoptive father and mother. When he goes to the Shaolin Temple to visit his master, he finds that his master is dead. So now he's accused of that shit too. When he is hiding behind behind. Oh man, this is a little too specific. When he is hiding behind the Buddha statue in the Bodhi Temple, he is discovered by the head of the Shaolin sect, Abbot Zhuangzi, the head of the Bodhi Temple. Juan Nan, and the oh my goodness. All right, let's skip past some of this. So, he is accused of not one, not two, but three murders. Another thing about the Chinese that they don't give a fuck about, like in terms of Americanizing a story, the way they pass time is kind of nuts. Like within the first 10 minutes, we see Qiao Feng as a child, as an adolescent, a teenager, and then a grown-ass man. In about 5 to 10. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that it's executed. I don't know. I for people not me, I could see how it fucking comes off as confusing. So, anyway, Qiao Feng, now an adult. We're going to start the film here. In the town square, men show up with a caged carriage. Somebody is inside. The travelers who are carting around the caged carriage sit down to eat. The leader of the men is asked what is in the carriage, to which he responds that he found a creature in his travels. And after some vamping, Qiao Feng, who sits in the back of the restaurant, stops the conversation. Basically, he tells the dude who brought the caged creature, as it were, that if he was a compassionate monk, he wouldn't cage any living thing. And we learn that his captive is Duan Yu of Dali, and the leader, the leading monk is Jiu Mazi. Jiu Mazi is going to sacrifice Duan Yu at Marangbo's tomb in Gusu. I say that again, Marangbo's tomb in Gusu. Immediately we see what type of movie we're in for, because Qiao Feng, whom was once seated in the back of the restaurant, now wire foos his way to the table of Jiu Mazi. You're about to embark on a fantasy film. That's, I mean, the way that he glides up to the table, it really sets the tone of what's going on, or what type of movie you're going to be in. Anyway, the Beggars clan, after this particular sequence, which, I mean, this scene is worth mentioning in terms of setting the tone, because Qiao Feng and Jiu Mazi were convinced, or were after they're conversating about the prisoner, Jiu Mazi has no intention of releasing the prisoner, so it's time to fucking fight. And quickly we get to see why Donnie is one of the best on-screen martial artists and action directors out there. I mean, we really do. And I think people forget just, how long he's been doing action directing himself. I mean, this goes back, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s. Back, and you can read stories. He was a little mean to like Yan Wu-Ping. They had some creative differences, and I guess I look at it two ways. One, be happy that you're in the presence of Yan Wu-Ping, but at the same time, if I don't, to a certain degree, like, you don't want to be tied down by, previous eras, styles, or moves, or look of things. And so I go back and forth on that. Like, when we're talking about something like movies, it's not life or death, but at the same time, like, I do think there should be room, and not that there isn't on set. Hopefully I'm not coming off saying that, like, oh, if you're an actor and actresses, you just do what the fuck the director tells you and that's the end of it. Not always. Like, sometimes, it is a evolving piece. But anyway, I digress. We just get to see why Donnie is one of the best on-screen martial artists that has ever lived, at least up until this point. Anyway, in this first scene here with Jiumatsi, we get to see a heavy dose of wire fu, hand-to-hand combat, and weapons play. I mean, the way that the camera moves in this scene proves they weren't being lazy on this particular action fantasy set. The camera glides effortlessly, much like Qiao Feng does. So when you're seeing some wire fu and he's gliding from table to table or roof to roof, the way that the camera moves, I've seen in the past where it's like we did CG and we did like the rough draft of it and we just said, that's fine. Not the case here. Not the case here. In fact, back to a testament of how good Donnie is. In this particular scene, he almost looks bored. And that's not to say that he actually is. It's to say that he's so good at what he does. He makes the moves depicted on screen look like child's play. I mean, that's really what it is like you've been doing something for, 40 years. It really is, I feel blessed to watch it. And the only thing on this particular scene and scenes that happen following this, it's like a lot of Chinese action films in general. They really skimp. Well, I shouldn't say skimp. They really are CGI heavy when it comes, like, it's like there's this tipping point. Like, you get to the point where it's like, all right, practical, and then fuck it. And in this particular scene, like, there's a lot of impacts on tables, chairs, walls, pillars, like people going through it, punches going into it. All done with CGI, and there's moments where it looks really good, and then there's moments where it's like, fuck. And I get it, like, to a certain extent. I mean, this is based off a wuxia novel. Like, I understand that it's going to be fantastical to a certain degree. However, it's almost like instead of picking and choosing where we can use it, like the breaking of a table, like, come on. Like, I understand that, shooting squibs and, like, bullets and stuff like that, we got to be really careful. But a stunt actor falling back first on a table, I mean, come on. As long as you you elevate the camera a little bit to not show where I'm actually landing, just throw me through a fucking table. Like a fake table made of fucking plywood. We don't do that here. It's weird. It comes off so weird when you see a computer-generated table explode underneath someone who just got thrown to it. It's I don't know. It's the CGI is glaring in this scene and throughout the movie. And again, don't think that I'm shitting on it. I understand that it's meant to be fantasy, but these parts aren't fantasy. Someone going through a table isn't fantasy. I get it if you're throwing someone into a fucking cloud or a fucking... I don't know what I'm trying to say. All I know is like, why do we have to do this? And it's all the time. And maybe... this is the flip side. So, like, how I say I can't stand American action films for doing car chases and this, that, and the other thing. This is one of those moments where sometimes I can't stand, Chinese epics because they, we're spoiled. We see stuff from ILM and Weta, in Marvel movies and Dune and whatever that... we're spoiled. That's all. It's all. It's a fantasy movie, Sean. Don't be so fucking harsh. All right, listen. The fighting in this and the use of the wires in this scene is so fucking clean. It cannot be understated. It's just the CGI just blows my mind sometimes. Like, I get, like, in this scene. So Jiumatsi, at one point, spoiler alert, he engulfs his own hands in flames. Because it's Chinese epic. But actually, that portion doesn't look bad. When his hands are engulfed in flames, like, I get to a certain degree, you can't fake practical for that. And that's fine. It's just like, okay, so he's got fire hands. Why do we need to use CG for the fucking table fall. Wouldn't it save you actually some money to not do that? Turns out no. Another scene that I really enjoyed is where Qiao Feng goes to the Beggar's Gang meetup spot, and I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember, and I'm not gonna fucking go back and look, but this is where the subtitles come in. He goes to, like, it's called, like, the Heroes Manor, the Heroes Meeting Hall. Like, it's just like, and here at the Hall of Justice, and I just was kind of like, really? That's what we're gonna call it? We're just gonna call it the Heroes Manor? Anyway, when he goes to the Beggar's Gang meetup spot, you get to actually see some fucking goddamn strong acting from Donnie here. What basically takes place in this scene, which I also like the idea of it. Obviously, the Beggar's Gang at this point, he's accused of 3 fucking murders, so they all want him dead. And in fact, right before he gets exiled, I didn't mention... So, right after he's accused of the first murder, the Beggar's Gang basically stops him and says, hey, you're a traitor, you're this, you're that, or whatever. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go look for who was actually responsible for the murder of Vice Master Ma. And before he does, he stabs himself in the stomach like 5 times. You want to talk about loyalty and tradition. Holy moly. Anyway, so now back in the Beggar at the Heroes Manor. Solid acting here from Donnie. Basically, he's about to go to war with everyone from the Beggar's Clan and the Beggar's Gang. That was clan, and gang all mixed up into, man, maybe I should just stop doing this fucking podcast. I am the goddamn worst. Anyway, tradition says you must toast and drink with your enemy before you fight. So everybody wants a piece of Qiao Feng. He drinks a lot here. Donnie does, and in fact, I wouldn't be able to stand after all the toast he makes. But what I like here is that everyone that's toasting before battle, not everybody wants to kill him. Not everybody wants to kill him. No. In fact, some of them are actually sad that they have to make the toast to basically battle to each other's death. And the way that's done, I thought it was fantastic right before the fight sequence occurs. It's actually heartfelt. You're like, oh man, you're believing the acting here, which doesn't always happen in action films. Sometimes, especially if we're talking B, C, D, E, F characters, they don't really get a moment to shine to add some layers to an action piece, but I think it's done really well here. Like, I actually believe that half the people that are toasting right now don't want to fucking kill him. And then what ensues after that is just a goddamn good fight sequence. You don't get a chance to see a lot of it in American action films, that's for sure. It's epic, it's quick, it's sharp. I mean, we still have a little bit of the CG of shit breaking, but for the most part, it's really well done. And another scene that I just kind of wanted to point out before I leave you today is the one of the final sequences. And it's the final battle between our villain wrongfully and Qiao Feng. And it's about as epic as you could ask for. Qiao Feng versus wrongfully and his entire fucking army. And given what I've said this film already entails, I'll just leave it at that. You'll have to watch and see how everything unfolds. And is this the last time we will see Qiao Feng? Here's what I'll tell you. There is 2, I can't remember off the top of my head, 2, maybe 3 post-credit sequences. And that's where, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it got a little convoluted to me, but I don't blame the film. I blame me for being a fool. Because it kind of reminded me of the end of David Lynch's Dune. If you guys have seen that, in the last 20 minutes, we cram so much in that you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck happened here? And that's kind of the same in the end of Sakra, where I'm just like, wait a minute. so somebody's two different people, and this is not even the beginning. This is like the beginning of the beginning. And I haven't seen anything announced that we may continue this story, but it is definitely the beginning of the beginning. It almost feels like the way that those post-credit sequences play out, it's almost like, yeah, some of the stuff mattered that we just sat 2 hours through, but most of it doesn't. And here's the thing, I could be wrong. Like I said, I am a stupid person, but it just felt like it was one of those instances. Like, I'll give you a case in point. We see directed by Donnie Yen, and then it goes into, I want to say, another 4 to 6 minute sequence, and then we see some more credits, and then another 2 minute sequence, and then the rest of the credits. And I'm like, wait, what all just took place right now? Like, wait a minute, who just ripped off that? Did somebody was wearing the face of somebody else? I'm so confused. See, but now you should have intrigue. Wait a minute, there's shapeshifters, Sean? There's people wearing each other's faces? Yeah, there's some of that. Yeah, there's some of that. I mean, if you went to IMDb and saw kind of the character list, it does actually kind of spoil a thing or two about a thing or two. But I won't do that to you today, because I am going to start being a little bit more spoiler filled, but there's only my hypocrisy only goes so far, gang. I can't. I want you to actually go out and seek these things, and you're not going to fucking go out. I don't care if I get the listens or the views. I really don't care. I want this to aid in the purchase of this movie or the streaming of this movie. I don't give a fuck about my numbers, but what some of you forget is that if we don't stream these things, if we don't buy the physical media of these things, we don't get these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people pirate this, that, or the other thing, do you not understand that you're taking money away from the very sequel that you want to see? So I will only spoil so much. Sakra, a Well-Go USA entertainment release. Well-Go USA, Sakra. You can get the physical disc should that be your thing right now. And as aforementioned, it is also streaming for free on Tubi. I told you that we got a lot of kung fu films coming down the pike. We really do. So brace yourself for that. Ellis Cinema, Well-Go USA, Sakra, starring Donnie Yen, Wu Yu, Chen Yuqi, Xia Liu, Wai Ying Hong, Qiao Feng, Wong Hing, and don't forget about the crew. Edited by Ka-Wai, cinematography by Ying, action director Kenji, Tanigaki, and Donnie Yen, action choreographer Yanhua and Chao, and directed by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Donnie Yen. Check it out. Hopefully we get to see the next installment to Sakra, because I'm here for it. Ellis Cinema, we gone.